with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Take on the role of Robin Hood's merry men, setting up traps along the trails through Sherwood Forest to lure in foolish merchants and part them with their profits. It's a competition where merry men compete to amass enough pilfered profit in order to impress Robin Hood and become his right-hand merry man. To do this, you'll need to set the best traps in the right locations. But if you want to outwit the merchants, you'll first have to outwit the other players. You'll scrounge up the plans, manpower, and materials you'll need to turn your ideas into action. Everyone takes turns setting up traps along the trail, trying to ensure theirs are in the right place and of the right type that the merchants will fall for. Once your schemes have been set in place, the merchants travel the trails, hoping to reach the end without incident. Only traps that appeal to their specific follies will lure them off the main road and earn you some of their ill-gotten gains. By strategizing, snagging the best real estate, and using roadblocks to change the course of the merchants, you're guaranteed to become the greatest grifter to grace these groves.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but that's the story of On Their Merry Way board game, a new game on Kickstarter, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on Chris, the mastermind and the creator of that game, the creator of On Their Merry Way board game. Is that correct, Chris? Is that how you fall in line with On Their Merry Way board game?
Yeah. Yeah, On Their Merry Way was designed by me with a little bit of help from my business partner, Rachel. But for the most part, with New Experience Workshop games, I handle the design and the everything except for the artwork, pretty much.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. We really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, before we get into the reason why you're here, let's rewind a little bit if we could. We don't have to go back too far, of course, unless you were born into tabletop board gaming. But how did you get into tabletop board gaming, Chris?
Well, in college, I would play a lot of games with my friends. We played a lot of Magic. That kind of built into playing other card games. And the first game that we released was based off of the games we played in college and wanting to make, like, our ideal version of that, basically.
Oh, okay, so yeah, play Magic and whatnot. So, because I don't think my audience would like it if I let you pick your own game. So, besides On Their Merry Way board game, do you have a current favorite board game that you like to sit down and play?
Well, Azul's pretty good. I got to play that for the first time last week, and I didn't expect to buy into the hype there, but it's a really nice little game.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype. I've heard the hype. I haven't been able to play it yet. So if there's other people out there like me, what can you tell us about Azul?
Well, in that one, it's pretty straightforward. It's an abstract set collection game, but the rules are just really elegant. The scoring works really well, and it doesn't have that problem with the abstract games where people have to spend a long time to think about their turns. It all is really fluid for taking the tiles and creating your sets every turn and scoring your points.
Okay, so it might work out okay for someone like me, because I suffer from AP, or analysis paralysis.
Yeah, we played it a few times with different people, and everyone was able to just keep it going, even like my partner Rachel, who normally has a problem with that too.
Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's awesome. So word on the street is you guys have a new game on Kickstarter called On Their Merry Way board game. What can you tell us about that, Chris?
Well, On Their Merry Way is a game for 2 to 5 players, and it's sort of the story of the underdogs in the tale of Robin Hood. So most of the story of Robin Hood follow him, and you might have Maid Marian and Little John. You'd have the sheriff and all that. The On Their Merry Way is sort of about the side characters, the everyday people that have to deal with their struggles, while the beautiful people are off having adventures.
Oh, okay. So the peons or whatever, if you will?
Yeah, on both sides. Players take the role of the merry men. They try and set traps along the trail to to try and catch the merchants as they come through, and they'll fall for the traps in the order they come. So as a player, you're trying to build the traps in the right spot, undercut your opponent, and be the first player to get to 25 profit to win the game.
Awesome. So, per se, me and you were to sit down to play On Their Merry Way board game, how would that look? I mean, how would it sound? This is a podcast after all, Chris.
Right. Well, so there's two. You have to picture two main roads that are the boards for the game. One going, let's say, east, and one going west, essentially. 3 merchants will travel down the first road. 2 merchants will travel down the second road at the end of the turn. So you and I will be using the resources that we have in front of us to play cards from our hand down along that road to try and make sort of detours that will lure the merchants in and convince them to stray from the main path and end them up in trouble, which is how we get our profit.
Okay, awesome. And so let's see here. So what mechanics does it use? So you're laying traps for the AI, I guess, but what kind of mechanics are you using?
Right, yeah, the merchants are sort of a rudimentary AI. They are pretty simple to track because they just follow a few basic rules. But you'll be managing resources to play your traps down. There's a little bit. There's a lot of a little bit of a lot of things in there because it's sort of. It almost feels like a new genre, really. Like you're building these paths. It's not exactly like a tower defense type of thing because you're not stopping anybody, but you're building these paths that you're just trying to basically convince the AI to go down the path you want them to go down.
How do you convince it?
Well, they each merchant band has a set of merchants in it. Each have their own follies, and each trap matches those follies. So they'll always go to the first trap that matches their folly, and they'll go in order from top to bottom. So you just have to set traps of the right type to get them to hit yours. But other players can try and set traps as well, and if they set them ahead of yours, then they'll hit their traps and not yours.
Interesting. So where did the inspiration for On Their Merry Way come from, Chris?
Well, I've had this idea for sort of AI, or rather just non-player controlled characters that you have to sort of entice or meet their needs as they pass by for a while. But honestly, it was the Tiny Epic series was a big inspiration. And very, very originally, our little code name for the game was Tiny Epic Highways because it originally had a late Route 66 tourist boom kind of theme to it.
Okay, how did you go about changing the theme?
So we had the highway theme, which was kind of the basis of the game. You'd have different kinds of tourist attractions, which would attract different visitors. But we wanted to add some sort of more gameplay elements to it. Like, for example, On the Merry Way has guards that come through, which will remove traps of a certain type. And we couldn't really figure out how that would work with like a highway theme. Like, what kind of person's going to come through and just destroy all your buildings, basically. And we also want to do a roadblock that players can put down. And in the highway theme, it doesn't make a lot of sense for construction managers or building planners to be somehow blocking traffic from the highway. It just seemed like it would be a bridge too far.
Okay, awesome. So how did you settle upon Robin Hood? It was the main one that fit, or?
Oh yeah, Rachel, apparently it came to her in a dream. She woke up the next day after we had play tested the highway game. I was just like, Robin Hood. I was like, yes, that makes sense, because we have people traveling down the trail, very well established setting, and it makes the mechanics make sense. So, this is a game that was mechanics first and theme second. It's more about the fun puzzle of it.
Cool, that's pretty cool. So minus the theme that of course had to get scrapped or whatnot. Minus that, during play testing, was there ever anything else that had to be scrapped because it just wouldn't work?
Yeah, actually, I talk a lot about this when I discuss game design with other people, and at some point I want to start doing panels on it, but I really believe in design by subtraction. Generally, when we make a game, we start with all this stuff, and then we just cut out from the whole cloth there and make the raw essence the most fun experience possible. So for this game, for example, we had cards you would use to draft resources. Players would draft resources, and they were from a small pool, a fixed pool, and you would have to trade with other players to get your resources, and you would have to... it was just a lot of work, and that kind of boiled down to, all right, well, we'll keep the cards, but we'll have an open pool, and then it just sort of... A lot of the stuff in the game that just kind of seemed important. The best changes for fun were just throwing our hands up and being like, all right, we don't need this anymore. Just, all right, you can do whatever you want. Just take 10 resources, whatever type you want. Just take whatever you want, do whatever you want, and that lets people focus on the actual fun part, which is the traps.
You talked about also wanting to be on panels. It looks like this isn't your first rodeo. So, what would qualify you to be able to go on panels about game design? It looks like you might have designed some other stuff as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been design. This is our third Kickstarter game. This is our first big box board game, but we've been working on games for the past 3 years now. We've exhibited at a lot of shows and done really well at like PAX Unplugged, PAX South, things like that. And we'd really like to just, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of research that goes into like manufacturing, that goes into just game design and things like that you may not get to like showcase if you only put out a couple games a year like we do, but that we do a lot more legwork and a lot more research that we feel like could be beneficial to share with people.
Cool, for sure. That's awesome. So, what other games have you come out with?
Well, we had our first game was Shootout, the High Noon card game, which is a dueling card game for 2 to 6 players. So up to 6 players are building the best hand of 5 they can, and then when they get into a showdown, they will duel 1-on-1 with another player. So it's that High Noon cowboy duel in which one shot, one kill, one person walks away. And then the sequel to that, sort of a spiritual successor, was Showdown, the samurai card game, which is the same mechanics and the same theme, same mechanics but the samurai theme, and totally different cards. Some different cards, different special cards.
Awesome. So in the Shootout, is that kind of like a war game, or is that like a what do you call it? Deck builder, or what is that exactly?
Well, it's it's a hand management game. It's what I tell a lot of new players is it's kind of like poker when you never know when you'll have to call. So it's very straightforward, a very quick game where everyone's just trading cards out on their turn. But the strategy comes from sort of subtle interactions, watching what people take, what they don't take, what they discard, to kind of figure out what they have in their hand, so that you know what cards to value and which cards to keep in your hand.
Oh, okay, it's cool. Yeah, it looks pretty cool looking at the campaign and whatnot. It looks like you had to try it several times on Kickstarter. So what did you learn from doing that?
Well, with Showdown, we actually had we had a personal situation which meant that we couldn't really continue with the campaign, so we had to delay it temporarily. But with On Their Merry Way, we've really learned a lot got a lot of feedback from our backers, and we just really want to listen to them and make the best product possible. The main thing is that we love designing games, we love making games, we're pretty good at making games, if I may say so, but unfortunately we're not as good at marketing or just self-promotion as we are at making the actual games themselves, and that's, actually a big part of the business.
For sure. So what are the backers, what's been their consensus on this campaign? I know last we talked, you're going to go ahead and cancel it at some point and then relaunch it. What's the consensus you've got from the backers before you went ahead and did that?
Well, the backers were concerned with our shipping costs. They wanted to see us find another shipping solution, and we've done that. The backers were interested in a solo mode, which we are working on playtesting right now, so that we can add that to the relaunch as well. And we're also going to add a print and play so that backers in remote regions where shipping would still be, a little high, they can get the game and print it themselves, including the miniatures.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's awesome. So shipping. So how did you go about fixing the shipping, or what did you do there?
Well, originally we were using Quartermaster, which I thought would be. I honestly just didn't put enough thought into it, shipping and the perception of it, because I just kind of copy pasted their table of how much it cost into our shipping on Kickstarter. I actually forgot to fill it out until after I launched the project, because it was one of those things that was like, I'll come back to this, and then I launch. People look at the project, they're not going to go over every reward tier with a fine-tooth comb, and then I'm like, oh no, we aren't charging anything for shipping. We need to change that. So unfortunately it was a little bit rushed, and we're going to do it much better this time around. We're going to just go with the most economical shipping. We're also probably going to do pledge manager so that the shipping cost doesn't have to be part of your pledge. It can be on the back end. But um, we are almost certainly going to have free shipping for U.S. backers and drastically reduced shipping for international backers as well this time around.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So that'd be awesome. So, what is the? I don't know if you guys have figured everything out, ironed everything out, but what kind of launch date are we looking at?
We're looking at 3 to 6 weeks, ideally in mid-May. And of course, if you follow the project on Kickstarter or follow us on Facebook or Twitter, you can definitely get the up-to-the-minute updates on that.
Okay, and we'll make sure it'll just depend on what you decide for us to do, but we can launch it during the campaign or before, and if we do before, they can go ahead, like you said, they can go ahead and follow you beforehand or whatnot, and we'll be notified when it launches and whatnot.
Yeah, I think before would be good. So just we're trying to raise awareness as much as possible right now, you know?
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if, like I said, we do go in and edit this or whatnot, but in getting reviews and whatnot, previews, was there any trouble with that? You don't have to say any names or anything, but was there any troubles in getting previews of the game?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we ask for a pretty tight timeline with the when we do paid previews and stuff, but unfortunately, we didn't necessarily get everything exactly on time. So we also were adding that to the campaign at the last minute, which, they always say, launch when you're ready, and there's no deadline for it. But when you have almost everything, when you have almost everything all set together, you're just like, I just want to do it now. It'll be fine, right?
Yeah, I was what do you call it? Somebody I had on a little bit ago. I don't know what the name of the book is or whatnot, and I haven't read it. I know I talked to Jamie Stegmeyer a little bit ago, but one of the creators I was interviewing, he said he read Jamie Stegmeyer's book about crowdfunding and whatnot, and his big takeaway was from that book was you don't have to launch today.
Yeah, I actually read that book too. I think it's got a lot of really good advice in it. Um, though I do wish it focused a little more on certain areas, but it's definitely a great place to start for figuring out a Kickstarter launch.
Cool, for sure, for sure. So that's awesome. And so I know you don't want to overpromise it and you deliver. You said you're going to launch in around mid-May or whatnot. So if somebody goes ahead and takes a chance on their merry way, the board game. When would they anticipate getting their game? I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Well, I'm pretty confident in that at least because New Experience Workshop actually has a pretty good reputation so far for delivering on time or early, usually early. And honestly, this is kind of one of those. We are promising November of this year, and we are hoping to deliver in October or even possibly September based on how things go.
Awesome. So that'll be cool. And do you guys do this full time, or is it just like a like a hobby or whatnot now?
Well, actually, with On the Merry Way, we're sort of transitioning into getting closer to a full-time role. We're going to have another campaign towards the end of the year about a game we've been working on for quite a while called Star Climber. But, we have been kind of quiet about that lately since we don't want to have, throw too much at people at once.
Well, for sure, for sure. So that's awesome. So like I said before, you'll want to go ahead and make sure you follow Chris on Facebook as well as on the Kickstarter or whatnot. So when he launches other games as well, you'll be able to keep track with that or whatnot. So we have a running joke, or at least it hasn't been proved through the scientific method because nobody's ever gotten back to me. But so we call it a joke right now, but it could be true for all I know. But per se, somebody's fallen asleep. It wouldn't be because of you or listening to your great game. It'd probably be because of me and my podcast. We're 3 weeks into April and we've already released 61 episodes for the year thus far. So they get a little tired of hearing me drone on and talking about different games and whatnot. So they get a little bit tired of that. But they're suddenly jolted awake so they don't hit that oncoming traffic or have the merry man pick them off on the trail or whatnot. Now you have their full attention, Chris. Why should they take a chance on their Merry Way board game, especially with all the other great games that are currently on the Kickstarters?
On Their Merry Way has a completely unique path building mechanic. It's got great art from a fantastic artist that we're really lucky to be working with. And it's the kind of game that's going to feel fresh, whether you're fairly new to games or if you're the alpha gamer that's got a whole shelf of things. This is going to feel like a new puzzle, a new challenge for you, and it's a nice, fun game for friends to play together because it's competitive, but it's what's the word? It's competitive, but it's not combative. You're not going to be attacking other players, but you will be making them angry if you're playing it right.
There you go. So how does somebody go about winning it? Is it whoever picks off the most merchants, or how do you win the game?
Collecting 25 profit is the end of the game, and then the player with the most profit at the end of that round wins. It usually takes about 5 rounds, plus or minus one. So merchants will travel the trail 5 times in the game before it ends, usually. And that takes about 45 to 60 minutes.
So that's pretty cool. And we'll make sure we leave links to, depending on when, if it's not launched yet, we'll leave links so they can go ahead and find you on Kickstarter or on at least on the Facebook page and whatnot. Minus coming there to your hometown to stalk you, how would they go about finding out about what you, or what did you call it, New Experience Games, or what is the name of it?
New Experience Workshop.
Okay, yeah. So minus coming there to stalk you in your hometown, how would they go about finding out about you or what you guys have going on over there at New Experience Workshop?
Well, our website is newexperienceworkshop.com. We do a lot of conventions. Like we're going to be debuting On Their Merry Way for sale at PAX Unplugged this year. Well, provided the Kickstarter goes well. We got our Facebook and our Twitter are both facebook.com or twitter.com/newgames page. And we update pretty regularly on all those places.
Well, there you go. We'll make sure we leave a link in the show notes or whatnot. Now, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to any of our podcasts or not, Chris, and either way, that's okay. But the next section of the podcast is called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for a cell phone, a tablet, a computer, or even a video game. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be with deal with tabletop board gaming or picking off merchants as they come down your road. It can deal with anything. Is there an app you use a lot of that we can talk about for a moment?
Well, I do really like Mini Metro. It's a nice little app game that I feel like really should be a board game by this point.
There you go. So I know I haven't, but maybe there's other people out there like me that haven't heard of. You call it Mini Metro? What can you tell us about Mini Metro?
Well, Mini Metro, it's a sort of a very almost kind of abstract railway building game. You'll have little stations that you'll have to connect with lines, and the stations can have different shapes. And essentially, you'll have a circle station where circle passengers get on, and a triangle station where triangle passengers want to get off. Yeah, you'll be building. You're connecting subway stations, and you're going to try and connect them efficiently as possible, so that if you pick up a person with let's say a circle, the people are abstracted just as shapes. You pick up a circle in one spot, you want to get them to a circle station as soon as possible. And it's sort of just making these efficient little routes, which I love efficient. That's my favorite thing in board games, is just trying to do things as efficiently as possible. And it's just really fun to try and connect the routes. It's very simple, but until they start adding specialty sort of spots, which I always imagine are like the city capital or something. You'll have a little star, and you can have people all the way across your little city that need to get to that star. So you have to start interconnecting everything so that certain routes can drop off and pick off at places to make sure that everyone gets where they want to go. And the game just sort of it's an infinite game that ends when one of your stations gets overcrowded and the subway system stops.
Well, there you go. That sounds pretty cool. So should we look for New Experience Workshop picking up the rights for that at some point, do you think?
I would love to, but well, you never know.
Well, there you go. There you go. So, per se, you did own the rights to the app at least. What would be one thing you would do to make it a better app or fix it?
That's tough. It's such like such a simple experience. It would be hard to really make a big improvement to it. I guess I would maybe just want a little more feedback on how to do better the next time, rather than once you play it for a while, you feel like you've sort of gotten as good as you're going to get at it, basically, without further like research or something.
Oh, okay, so maybe offer some feedback after the game's over.
Yeah, some little pro tips.
There you go. So we try to make a green podcast around here, Chris. So if anybody ever is listening that owns the rights to that game, You heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief, what Chris would do to make it a better app. Yeah, so we don't want to keep you all night, but let's see here. Yeah, but we want to make sure people can go ahead and find out about On Their Merry Way. Do you have any parting words for us besides them wanting to go ahead and be able to pick off the merchants without having to really do it in real life?
I guess I just say that I've been making board games for a while now, and we've worked on a ton, and we've only released a few, and that's because we only want to put out the best things that do something new and different. And like the main thing that drives us to make games is wanting to play them. We make the games that we don't see out there. We make the games that we want to play, and we believe that you'll want to play them too.
Well, there you go. So yeah, so definitely go ahead and click on the links that we have in our show notes, so you can go ahead and follow along with the new experience workshop on their different things that they have going on, especially On Their Merry Way, which should be hitting by the time you listen to this, should be hitting Kickstarter pretty soon coming up here. So we don't want to keep you all night, Chris, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great. This is my first podcast experience, actually.
Well, there you go. So we can say you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief about On Their Merry Way board game, depending on when we release, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll be first no matter what.
Well, there you go. Yeah, we always like to say that for some reason on the podcast whenever we get the opportunity.
Cool, yeah, I understand that.
Well, there you go.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
If you're still with us, and I hope you are, then you heard her right. It's time for Kickstarter Corner. Hopefully you're hearing me right, and I think you are. I got a new cord for the computer, well, for the microphone, so that's awesome. So hopefully you can hear me better, and it'll be a better experience for y'all. But if you're still with me, and I really hope you are, then don't forget to sign up for our mailing list. The time is upon you. Why do I say this? Because within 24 hours of this episode going live, there will be a mailing going out to subscribers that will go ahead and tell you how you can enter to win a giveaway in which you will get 8 great games. That's right, not just one, but 8 great games to one lucky winner. That's right. So make sure you listen to that. Plus, you don't want to miss that episode because I'm interviewing Jamie Stegmeyer from Stonemaier Games about the new expansion for, what is it? His game, the viticulture. Yeah, so definitely you'll want to stay tuned for that. But anyways, let's get on with Kickstarter Corner, shall we? Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our email list over at GameReliefGo.com, kind of like PokemonGo.com. But we better get on with what you came here for, or why you're still here, other than our giveaway, which is Kickstarter Corner, like she just barely told you, huh? Anyways, let's get on with it, shall we? So, first off, there's a new game to hear all about. It's called CodeWorld, the miniatures game. You may have saw this, you may not have. But yeah, it is awesome. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but we'll try. It's an exciting new miniatures game launched on Kickstarter on the 24th of April, so a couple days ago. Now, this brand new game is of a skirmish war game. You battle in a fully three-dimensional cyberspace setting manipulating the code, aka dominoes. Instead of dice, war game and board game lovers alike will find many amazing things to enjoy in CodeWorld. From all of its inclusive nature, no tape measures, widgets, or anything like that, to the great miniatures. You know what my favorite are? The emojis. Yeah, that's right. You heard right. The emojis. Definitely check out all these cool characters that they have and like 3D buildings and whatnot. It's really cool. I'm really hoping that they're able to showcase this with TLDR game services. I guess we'll wait and see. It was a really expensive prototype to make, so he wasn't able to really showcase it anywhere, but I'm hoping that you guys will be able to see it there. Plus, I want to see it there, so I'm being a little bit selfish. It's a really great game. So, anyway, what else do we got here? we've also got, so that one's going good. That's going through, well, you probably want to know when it's going through, don't you? I know I would if I was you. Anyways, it's got 32 days to go, and it goes through the 29th of May. So definitely check that one out. And then what else do we got? We've got Dobbers Quest for the Key. I want to say, because it is backed by the Leafs, just for a short amount. Not a short amount, but anyways, a small amount. Yeah, let's say small amount. It's backed by the Leafs for a small amount. And this game, they just barely did an update. It's like the 5th update. So I'll tell you all about the 5th update, I guess. It is, tonight he's very excited to present to you a new design for the game board. This fully illustrated game board will add a lot of immersion to the Dobbers gaming experience, and it fits more with the original vision. Let him know what you think. He hopes you like it. But remember that Dobbers is a deck builder with a board, and you actually are controlling what's going on the board. It's awesome. Check it out on the Kickstarters. Going through, what did we say? Well, we'll click the link and tell you guys. It's going through the 18th of May. Definitely check that one out. They got about 3 weeks to go. And then No Escape. No Escape is a competitive maze building. Take that game for 2 to 8 players. And I told you last time that it became a project we love on Kickstarter. They got about 20 days to go, going through the 17th of May. Definitely check this one out. They're at $4,000 since they become a project we love from Games. It's recently gone up in funding, and I hope it keeps on trending. Yes, sirree, Bob. And then you may remember Terminator from way back in the day. You may not. But either way, you definitely want to check out Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. It's a co-op 1 to 4 player action-adventure game featuring an original campaign set in 2029 Terminator universe. Definitely check this one out. They're drawing nigh. They've got 3 days to go. They end on Monday the 30th. So definitely check this one out. They're at about almost 60,000 out of 78,000. So yeah, definitely help them bring Arnold back. Like he said he will be back, or I will be back. But I have a horrible impersonation, so don't let that be the judge. Go watch a Terminator movie, and he'll tell you on there, and then go ahead and check out Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance on the Kickstarters. And then what else do we got? We've got Election Night. Learn your way to the White House. We had Jim on the podcast a while back ago. It's a game night hit that teaches math, geography, and the civics of the electrical college. Watch how much fun these kids have. So definitely check that out on the Kickstarter. It's amazing, and we had him on the show. And you can, too, have him on your show. I think, hopefully, he might be on the Family Gamers that do their shows every Monday. So hopefully he'll be on there after a while. And then this one just recently launched, the Swords of Valour card game. The Swords of Valour card game gives you the opportunity to join us in the sword fight list without all the years of pesky training. So an actual sword fighter came up with an actual card game, and you'll get the opportunity to hear a little bit more about this from the creator, Alan, as we're going to have him on the podcast. So definitely look for that in the coming weeks. Not this week coming up, but the following week. So definitely check that one out on the Kickstarters in the meantime and check it out. And then do you remember about Swerve? Swerve is a connection strategy game, bringing Friday game night back. Simple rules, complex strategy, gameplay, zigzag your way to victory. The new family classic by Zach Olmsted. Definitely check this one out, and even if you don't necessarily like games like this, or if you do, either way, I would go back and listen to my interview with Zach, and stick around for a treat. At the end of this episode, Little Leaf brings her attack bunny and actually attacks me. I end up dying during that episode, or so I would lead you to believe. And then the gates to Raleigh, or how we say that. In the house at Raleigh, Dead Cthulhu waits dreaming. You only have hours to secure the gate, but some among you have other plans. definitely check this one out. They're overfunded, and right now they have about 61 hours to go. We had an interview with the great creator of that, so check that one out. And then, yeah, let's see here. I can tell you all about this one. There's a new one that you may like. 2 D&D 5e and Pathfinder Adventure Anthol print and digital books. Yeah, definitely. So let me go ahead and for sure, let me tell you a little bit about this one. I just gotta bring up the email that tells me all about it. As you don't want me to misinform you, do you? No, sorry, Bob, you do not. Here goes nothing, shall we? Okay. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about this thing that I just talked about. It's a new role-playing game adventure project, and it's called The Book of Dark Secrets. From what we can tell from talking to the creator is that this project is made up of 2 books that are a pair of adventure anthologies that can be played either using the D&D 5th edition or Pathfinder role-playing game systems. And what's cool about it is that every short fill-in adventure can be played by players between levels, let's say, 1 and 20. The first book, The Lost Tomes, not time, but tomes, is a 200-plus page book that revolves around a secret society that the PCs can visit or even live at the castle where the secret society resides. Get that. The Secret Society is a group of extremely gifted, high-level, non-player characters that specialize in one main category each. Each of the 16 adventurers in this first book are based on those 16 skill sets that the founding members of the society possess. There will be detailed maps, art, player handouts, and stats for all 16. There's 5 to 12 plus page adventures, plus a full bio and stats for each of the 16 founding members, as well as, how about this, each of the members interact with each other. Just a few of the 16 adventures will have the PCs, or you, the player characters, conjuring and killing brand new demons, reclaiming rare and ancient artifacts, bounty hunting, dangerous killers, and recovering lost spellbooks, and much more. And then there's a second book. Yes, Siri Bob. The second book, it's called The Book of Dark Secrets. The first book actually was The Lost Tombs Volume 1, so the second book is The Book of Dark Secrets. And it's a 240 plus page book. This second book is also an adventure anthology that will have between, let's say, 20 and 26 short or 5 to 12 plus page fill-in adventures that can optionally be produced by the players manipulating a very powerful 20 sigil amulet. There's also an inn and a tavern that will have up to 100 non-player characters and be up to 40 pages. Wow. This inn is just one of the adventures, though. Just a few of the other adventures in this book involve killing or capturing serial killers, stealing battle weapons and plans, vampire slaying, and Lovecraft-inspired adventures, and much more. You know I'm a Lovecraft fan, don't you? Well, both of these books are available on Kickstarter as well as Indiegogo. I don't know how he did that. I'll have to talk to him. But the delivery date is in October of this year. But the developers are going to try to get it to the buyers much sooner than that. These 2 books will be in digital PDF formats, softcover, and hardcover options as well. You can find the links below or do a search on the Kickstarter or Indiegogo for the Book of Dark Secrets. When he says below, he means the show notes, definitely. Or I mean the show notes, whoever you want to say. I'm the one talking, so yeah, check my show notes. We'll leave a link in the show notes for everything like we usually do. And go take a look. And if short adventure anthologies that are D&D and 5th edition and Pathfinder compatible sounds good to you, make a pledge today and reserve your books before the end date at around the 18th of May. yeah, definitely check this out for sure, for sure, for sure. And so there's that. There you have it, don't you? Well, I guess you do. Yes, you do. And then, you know, we like interviews here on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. You know, we like to interview creators. Well, next week it will be your pleasure to hear from the creator and mastermind behind the Exorcism at the House of Monkton Falls, which is doing quite well on Kickstarter, if I can say myself. They've got $9,300 out of $11,500 goal, and they go through the 13th of May. You probably want an overview of this game. Well, the Exorcism at the House of Monkton Falls is a co-op worker movement set collecting game themed around the exorcism of ghosts taking up residence in a haunted house. 2 to 4 players, 60 minutes, and ages 11 plus. Definitely check this one out, and go ahead and listen for our interview next week, shall you? Yes, you shall. I hope so, anyway. And then, just a reminder, you know, and you get tired of me hearing about it, but if you don't have enough games, and I know no one really does, do they? But if you don't have enough games, or you know someone who doesn't, make sure you go ahead and have them sign up for our mailing list, because within the 24-hour period from this time of this release, we're going to go ahead and send out a mailing which will give you an opportunity to win a giveaway of not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 8 great games. Yes, 8 great games. So definitely stay tuned for that. Go to GameRelief. No, that's my email address. If you want to find out and have your game featured on Getting Geeky with Game Relief, send me an email at that email address I was trying to say. GameRelief@GameReliefGo.com. But if you want to win these 8 games and be entered into the giveaway, go to my website, GameReliefGo.com, and sign up for the mailing list. You'll get exclusive podcasts, or we'll bring those podcasts to you first. In fact, within 24 hours, you'll get the first episode of this, which is me sitting down with name forgets me. Jamie Stegmaier. Yes, I have a bad memory. But we sit down with Jamie Stegmaier and talk about a little bit about Kickstarter, a little bit about his new expansion for viticulture, everything you could dream of. But most of all, make sure you find out about my giveaway. Anyways, it's our least favorite time, your least favorite time. Time to go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold. And we'll catch you all on the flip side. Definitely listen for that giveaway, but don't take my word for it. Just go ahead and sign up for the email list, get the email, listen to the episode, and if you don't want any of those games, just pass the episode on or pass the email on to one of your friends. I'm sure they could use some more games. Anyways, this has been Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Game Relief out. Wait, are you still with me? I hope so. But anyways, this game we just talked about, On Their Merry Way, it looks like they have 6 days to go at the time of this recording, but they're relaunching the 15th of May. So definitely check that out if you want to find out about updates and whatnot. Go ahead and follow them on Kickstarter, or go ahead and pledge $1, and then you'll get updates when they do. He's going to come out with a new update first thing in the morning, so I have yet to see that, so that's why I didn't include any of that, but go ahead and check it out. And anyways, this has been Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Get your game on. No, that's what somebody else says. I say go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into Geekfold. We'll catch you all on the flip side. Game Relief out again.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.